One of the things that's kind of gone under the radar since the Ravens' 24-20 loss to the Giants in Week 6 is the play of Ronnie Stanley. We've now got extended film of him playing against what has to be considered a high-level defense in terms of, at least in terms of the scoring defense rank in the NFL. Of course, we played against the Bills and the Bengals, who have a much better pass rush than the Giants do. Ronnie was really able to make quick work of these guys. I actually think there was a point in time when they started to just zone drop the D end and just decide to not mess with him. I'll show you 20 pass plays here. I think 4 of them are from Macari. And it's all just situations where Ronnie just looks incredibly smooth, almost like he's 2 steps ahead. And when I say 2 steps ahead, like think of situations where in sports, basketball, baseball, football, whatever, where you knew the play that the other team was going to run. You're going to look better. If you know the play, if someone was to tell you, hey, I'm throwing a fastball here, you have a better chance of hitting it. Hey, I'm going to do a speed rush here. I'm going to do a dip and rip. Well, the left tackle, right tackle, whoever, is in a better situation because they understand what's coming. He almost looks like he knows what's coming. That's how smooth he looks to me. And it's difficult. It has been difficult, obviously, for all of us to find positives. After blowing yet another fourth quarter lead, Ronnie Stanley is a huge positive. And I just wonder, if we can continue to get this level of play, we should be able to generate a lot of points offensively. And I feel like we were in a situation to generate a lot of points offensively on Sunday and didn't take advantage of it. Kayvon Thibodeau was one of the only guys who really threatened him in this game. No one really generated anything against him. He was just a rock. But Kayvon Thibodeau, on a couple of rushes that I think I have here in these clips, was able to at least threaten him with a speed rush. No one else really had anything for him. Into the boundary, the Giants would often drop Thibodeau, so they were at least trying to create some indecision in Ronnie. And what I mean is into the boundary, here's the ball, and Ronnie is into the short side of the field. The wide side of the field is over here where our right guard and right tackle are. They would often drop Thibodeau out, so they were at least trying to create some indecision in Ronnie's mind about who am I going to block, who's going to rush in this direction. Thibodeau had a great game, don't get me wrong. Not saying that Ronnie just shut him out, but there's just a lot that the young guys got to do in order to really threaten someone like Ronnie Stanley consistently. And he did do so with a speed rush a couple of times. Oftentimes, like I said, they would drop him, and then they would just rush the D tackle out here. It's almost like Ronnie's just toying. It's almost like a cat who's toying with a mouse. Watch the way that he's just framing him up with his arms. It all starts with the feet. He's got great balance. I don't know what he runs in the 40, what his agility drill is and all of that, but for a big man, he's able to maintain great posture while essentially controlling an NFL-level D tackle. You guys tell me what you think if you're as impressed by him as I am. Now let's switch to the conversation in another way. Incredibly happy for him that he's in this situation where he's able to play this well. Jihad Ward, when Jihad Ward did get pass rush situations on him, really offered him no threat at all. This is a case where a D tackle 97 runs a stunt with Jihad Ward. Jihad Ward's going to go inside and essentially go through the A gap, and they switch rush 97. So they're just trying to occupy Ronnie Stanley here and then use Jihad Ward essentially as a pick for 97 to fold over the top. Linderbaum and Powers aren't able to pick it up. Powers stayed on 55. We get an incomplete pass. Nice switch rush by the Giants, if you ask me. All right, 3-point stance now for Ronnie. So you think it could be, run. And the Ravens are doing a lot of this stuff where he's in a 2-point stance and he's in a 3-point stance. It really doesn't mean anything. This is the fantastic catch by Josh Oliver. And it doesn't mean anything in terms of being predictive for the play, whether it's a run play or a pass play. Going back to that playoff game where a team said, Ronnie was in one stance, it was a run play, one stance, it was a pass play. When he gets a safety or a blitzing nickel defender, come on, it's really almost unfair, what he's able to do against those guys. All right, some film of Macari now. I think this is a third possession, maybe second. Macari playing left tackle. One of the few times we run what looks like an RPO. You will get generally pass drops here for the next 2 or 3 plays with Macari at left tackle. I think Macari's given us good reps. Don't get me wrong. I'm not an anti-Macari guy, but the difference in how smooth and how easy Ronnie Stanley handles people at left tackle is just striking, if you ask me. It's just a different level cat, a different level player that you're dealing with, and that's no disrespect to Patrick McCarry at all. You can see here he appears to be passing off the switch rush and doing a nice job of it, but we're getting the ball out to the running back quick, so it doesn't really matter in terms of the protection on the play. Back to some film of Ronnie. You can see him here behind the goalpost into the boundary. Again, the Giants like to do, drop the edge rusher to the boundary and switch the D tackle out to the outside. And it's just like they just have nothing for him. They just have nothing for him. I don't know what you guys think about what we're getting, but I think we're getting, really high-level play from these two, which doesn't surprise me. Additionally, from him, which doesn't surprise me. I'm going to tell you what, the guy who's playing really well that's gone under the radar is Ben Powers. Someone in the comments section asked me to maybe do a video on him. I think it's time. Like, he's played really well. He just has. I did show you the little twist stunt that the Giants ran earlier that was successful. 97 was able to go through the B gap, which, technically is Ben Powers' gap. It's not an easy thing to pick up that blitz. Mind you, I'm not saying that, that should have been easily done. Another example of the outside linebacker, Thibodeau, turning and looking out and dropping. Now, one thing I want to point out, and I think I did point this out in a video earlier this week, think of when Owe drops out, okay? I'm not a fan of him doing that, and I think most of us are not, but let's move past that for a second. When he does drop out, he's generally dropping out, and his eyes are still looking this way. He's got really little awareness of the route developing behind him or the route developing to his outside. That's really the way that I was taught to refer to it for linebackers. We don't talk about routes behind us. We talk about routes to our outside. Routes behind us, the way we refer to it is it kind of leads you to a thought process of, how do I have awareness of something behind me? We always said routes to the outside of us. You have to look to your outside. Technically, he is looking back as well. It's just a terminology thing to set kids and players up in their brain for success instead of failure. And so we don't do that. We don't do that. Now he's dropped to a particular depth, which is normally going to be the pass drop depth you take in practice. If you do this 200 times in practice, whatever depth you're getting to in practice, if it's 8 yards, generally in the game it's going to be 6. So we would always try to get our pass drops to at 12 at inside linebacker. Outside linebacker, we would try to get them to 8 or 10 because it's going to be shorter in the game. Your heart rate is up. You're trying to anticipate the play. The game is going faster. So one of the things about our drops with Owe that we're doing, I don't think we're practicing them well in practice. And I know that's, sounds kind of ridiculous because I'm not an NFL coach, never been near it. Let's get back to Ronnie Stanley at left tackle. Now he's got the edge rusher outside of him and a D tackle lined up in a 5. Even when he's able to, someone's able to get a little bit of push on him, he's able to anchor down and give Lamar time to get the ball off. You can see Lamar trusts him because you do have a little bit of pushback here, and Lamar can definitely sense that, or he has a peripheral vision, but he doesn't move. He still delivers the throw. So Lamar really trusts him. There's been a lot of conversation this week about, Lamar trusting Mark Andrews and not trusting other guys. He definitely trusts Ronnie Stanley, all right? I think we can all agree on that. Got about 5 more plays. Again, left tackle, quick. That slant was there all game. The one thing I didn't notice with Ronnie that I did notice with other guys was the Giants are excellent at getting their hands up once they have failed. Fail is the wrong word. Once their pass rush has not worked. They're excellent. So what I mean is, like, from the guard position on over, Giants defenders were successfully able to get their hands up and either tip passes or kind of get them in the way. It didn't seem to happen against Ronnie. I'm not sure why. When you see the end zone angle of this throw, I mean, good God. I don't know about you, but yeah, there's a big window there, but he's got to throw it over Thibodeau, around him, and then underneath the safety. That's a beautiful throw, man. When I was doing the prep for this video this morning, I kind of noticed it. At this point, as I'm watching these pass plays earlier this morning, I was thinking, like, they look like they know they can't handle Ronnie. That's what it seems like to me. It seems like guys are rushing and, trying to do their job, but understand, like, I'm not going to be able to win this matchup. I don't know. That's probably too big of an inference, but he looks that good to me in pass pro that it almost seems like NFL edge rushers are like, yeah, I think I'll just run this move, but I don't believe it. I don't believe in it. I don't believe it's going to work. You got an excellent example of a running back in pass pro stoning a linebacker here. A good blitz. Again, they drop out the end and rush through the B gap. We just didn't get that communicated between Powers, Stanley, but a great job by the back. Because you can see what they did with the D tackle. The D tackle's lined up in a zero. He stems out over Powers, and then they bring someone through the B gap. So when I talk to you about, it almost seems like they've given up on attacking Ronnie. That's what I mean. They've recognized that rushing through the C gap seems to be something that's not successful for us. We had a situation earlier where we were able to twist stunt guys through the B gap. This wasn't a twist stunt, slightly different stunt, but same concept. You're bringing someone through the B gap in between Powers and Ronnie. 3 more plays here. Another guy trying to long arm him. Look what he does. Takes his right hand and puts it on the guy's wrist, and then takes his left arm and puts it on the guy's chest, and just pretty much it's over. Now the guy's trying to rip because it makes sense. If I've got your right wrist, you're going to be able to dip and rip with your inside arm, your left arm. You're going to be able to disengage me, but not in time to be able to impact our quarterback. Great play. I don't know about you, but I'd love to see Isaiah Likely on more of these underneath routes than Mark Andrews. I'd like to see Andrews' route tree kind of expanded and Likely running some of those Andrews routes. Against Jihad Ward on the touchdown pass to Andrews, it just seems like as soon as Ronnie Stanley gets his hands on people, everything's over. That's elite. I mean, that's what you pay a left tackle that much money for, right? So we're getting what we're paying for. I understand that, but it's a revelation to me because think about how much trouble we had in pass pro last year, in 2021, with all the guys that we had, whatever situations were. This feels good to be able to watch for a couple of minutes for me, and so that's why I kind of broke this up. This is the last play. That's why I kind of broke this up into just pass plays, Ronnie Stanley from the end zone angle. The one time I thought Thibodeau was able to at least threaten him and make him sweat, make him sweat, make him work a little bit, is right here. He's ripping with the inside arm, and Ronnie just rides him out of there, takes him to the ground. We are in a great situation if that young man can stay healthy and can continue to play at, well, he will continue to play at this high level, period. If he is healthy, he will play at this level. Like, we have enough film now, a game and a quarter, I guess, or maybe a full game total between the snaps against the Bengals and the snaps here against the Giants. We have a full game total of Ronnie Stanley playing at a really high level, giving us all the protection we want at left tackle, and we're going to need it. I'm going to do a Ronnie Stanley versus Myles Garrett a preview video for Friday, and it will show Garrett running certain moves against certain tackles, and then I'll show film of Ronnie, defending those moves against other guys, and we'll be posing the question, who do you think will win this matchup? Well, we have to win that matchup. I mean, we have to. Do we have to shut Myles Garrett out? Well, no. I mean, he can get pressure sometimes. He's a great player. But my point is, how much do we have to win that matchup by in order to win the game? We certainly cannot have the type of pressure on Lamar that we had in 2021 against the Browns, where he was constantly under siege, and we threw 3 or 4 interceptions, some on bad decisions, some on weird balls that were tipped, whatever, some on great coverage adjustments by the Browns. We have a matchup between Stanley and Garrett that is extremely high level. One kind of like the matchup that you see there on the screen, Stanley versus Hendrickson. I thought after 3 pass rushes against the Bengals by Hendrickson, I thought Hendrickson realized what he was dealing with, because I don't think he'd ever dealt with Ronnie. I don't think he'd ever faced him. So I thought it was quick. And there's levels to sports. There's levels to the individual matchups. I have no way of proving it, but the third rush that Hendrickson had, he kind of like turns and glances at Stanley and then looks down, kind of like, oh wow, this is not Alejandro Villanueva. This is not Patrick McCarry. And to me, I don't know if we can make Myles Garrett have that same moment. I thought there was a moment in this Giants game where they pretty much gave up on rushing, C-gap edge guys with any tenacity, with any commitment, other than Kayvon Thibodeau. They did get pressure twice that I showed you, pressure once on that twist stunt that kind of fooled Ben Powers. where he didn't pass off Jihad Ward to Tyler Linderbaum. And then you had the late blitz down on the goal line, the missed opportunity to Isaiah Likely. I think Likely was interfered with, by the way. But where they bring the linebacker through the B gap and Mike Davis stones him. Let me know what you guys think of Ronnie Stanley. If you think I'm overstepping how well he's playing, everything looks incredibly smooth. This is now when I'm presenting this video to you, this is the third time I've watched it. I watched this clip these clips when I saved them earlier in the week. I watched them this morning around 5 a.m. And then, in this talk through, in this run through, presenting the video to you, this is now the third time, and he looks no less impressive to me doing so. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section.